The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Subscribe to the First and 12 podcast. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio.
Welcome on in, everybody. It's the second week and the second edition of your First and 12 program right here on KSL News Radio. Right here with you in the evenings every Tuesday, we're going to be able to bring this to you. Alex Kirry, Mitch Harper. Week one, the official week one is in the books. This is our second program of it. And Mitch, it's all started up. It's all going. And football season will not be stopped now. It is a train that will not stop until, oh gosh, when do they play the national championship game? Is it in February sometime now at this point?
Mid-January. You said it best. We'll get into the season. Week one is always so chaotic, but then we blink, and then it'll be Thanksgiving, and before we know it, it's Arlington and the Big 12 championship game. But week one was loaded, and let's start to unpack all of it with our Big 12 headlines.
12 headlines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
The dozen storylines that shape this week of Big 12 football. Headline 1.
So you can't help but look at the national perspective and what this is supposed to look like for this conference going forward. The Big 12 goes 2-3 against their Power 4 opponents that they took on. Now, granted, those two wins that they got, Utah against UCLA, TCU against UNC, against North Carolina, those were huge, and those were on national stages. That was with a lot of people watching and a lot of people going, oh, wait a minute, you got to consider these guys. We've been saying it all along. You can't count those two teams out, but were you shocked that they went 2-3 out of the gates here against their Power 4 opponents?
A little bit, but to your point, Alex, headline 2, TCU was outstanding. The Horned Frogs spoiled Bill Belichick's college debut, defeating North Carolina 48-14. This was Bill Belichick.
Oh, well, it was a great, great atmosphere here for the game tonight. Fans had tremendous energy the whole walk, and we played competitively, but then just couldn't sustain it. So obviously we have a lot of work to do. We need to do a better job all the way around, coaching, playing, all three phases of the game. Just wasn't up to what it needs to be, and I know we're a lot better than that. So we'll need to work on those things and show it on Saturday on a quick turnaround. But give TCU credit; they came in and did a good job, and they were clearly the better team tonight. They deserved to win, and they did it decisively.
34-point win for the Horned Frogs. That was awesome because Sonny Dykes and his guys were like, sure, you guys talk about UNC all you want. There were 9 Hall of Famers on board and everybody watching from the booth, and you saw all the coverage, and the storyline was, of course, Bill Belichick, but the real storyline is don't underestimate the Horned Frogs, a dark horse pick for at least me. I know we had this conversation about when we were having, who could win this Big 12, and my goodness, TCU showed that they absolutely can. Headline 3, Utah, speaking of Power 4 wins inside the conference, Power 4 blowouts, too. Same type of result. Utah smashes UCLA in Pasadena. Devon Dampier, the Jason Beck offense, and this new era of a spread offense that was very balanced. When I say balanced, Kyle Whittingham balance is 2 runs per 1 pass, and that's exactly what they got, basically, and they were not able to be stopped at all. That offense is legit, and my goodness, the trenches, Utah's going to own some people this year.
Yeah, 206 yards through the air, and the accuracy from Devon Dampier, 21 of 25, and they had drives, too, Alex, where 20 plays, I mean, they were eating up the clock. Kyle Whittingham probably, he maybe gets a little bit meddling with the offense sometime. He had to be thoroughly impressed with that debut for Jason Beck in that offense. Number 4 headline, year 3 with Coach Prime at Colorado begins with a loss as Georgia Tech's Haynes King runs wild, handing the Buffs a 27-20 setback in Boulder. I do think Colorado's defense is much improved, but still, time management was an issue for Coach Prime. We saw the Depends advertisement on the sideline.
If you see the porta potty on the sideline, it's real. I was like, yes, it is, Coach. And frankly, I wish we could do that more in our lives. Just put a porta potty wherever I need it, whenever I need it.
I thought it was compelling, though. Colorado's still going to be very interesting. I think they're going to be a better football team than we maybe thought with Shedeur and Travis Hunter gone.
And Travis Hunter leaves, of course, but this is the better defense that we've seen from Colorado during their time that they've been, which is a good start. Who knows if things are going to get rolling offensively, but, obviously that's the hope. Sawyer Robertson throws for 419 yards. It was pretty clean in the game, but Auburn was the team to beat down in Waco. How about winning by 2 touchdowns on the Brazos? Because, man, I didn't count Auburn as being a team who was going to be legit as a contender this year, but Hugh Freeze proved us wrong in week 1. And that's not a good look right out of the gates for the Big 12 to get beat up at home for Baylor, a team that, again, we also thought was going to be a dark horse possibility winner.
Baylor defensive lineman Jackie Marshall carted off the field in the first quarter with a high ankle sprain. That's something to monitor going forward. Headline 6, BYU true freshman Bear Bachmeier shines in his quarterback debut as the Cougs roll to a 69-0 win over Portland State. He's a centaur. He's got big legs. He's got big height. He's a centaur. Bear Bachmeier shined for the Cougs.
Yeah, the pregame coach staring down what this guy's body looked like and going, oh, boy, I don't know what we're going to get with this guy. Yeah, massive win for BYU. It's a good place for a freshman to start because you knew it was going to be a safe space to try yourself out. 5 total touchdowns for the kid. How about Arizona State? 12 penalties, but Kenny Dillingham, it was a sloppy win, but, you know, anytime the Lumberjacks come into town, Northern Arizona is always, like, they're competitive. Isn't it weird? They're always competitive. They're like a Montana. I mean, not always, but, you know, they come in and they're always, they got those wide eyes, and they've got some stuff to fix. You don't want to give up 20 points to an FCS opponent, but there you go. I think they'll probably right the ship and figure some things out.
They'll be fine. Headline 8, Brendan Sorsby throws a late interception as Cincinnati falls 20-17 with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce on hand to watch. Nebraska wins that game in Kansas City. It was a home game for the Big 12 in Cincinnati, but it was practically a road game. That wasn't the greatest look for Cincy, and Scott Satterfield's team comes up short in the end.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really bad because I think Nebraska's not that great. I mean, the reality is you watch them play and you go, oh, Cincinnati, I thought played pretty darn well. But I don't think those were 2 very good teams, and Nebraska not being good still is a little bit of a shock to me. Headline number 9, Brent Brennan gets started off quick with Arizona this year. They blow out Hawaii 40-6. Is the offense down in Tucson back?
I think so. I think that, Noah Fafita, there's more of a ground attack. It's not just focused on Tetaroa McMillan, and maybe that – you hate to say this, but it feels like there's more balance than just focusing solely on T-Mac. Headline 10, Kansas and Iowa State both roll past FCS opponents, each improving to 2-0 on the season. Big 12 is now 63-0 against FCS teams since 2019. But headline 11, Kansas State nearly ended that as they barely escaped an upset bid from North Dakota. Avery Johnson was great, but the defense is a glaring issue for K-State, apparently.
Yeah, and I think that was a big shock to everybody was you fall flat over in Ireland, fine, you lose a rivalry game, but to not show up against North Dakota, then questions start to creep in about Avery Johnson, about what this team is going to be and what they're going to do. And I think that taking a hit, obviously, with a lot of the voters across the country who were not impressed so far with what they see out of Kansas State. Headline 12, how about Rich Rodriguez and Scott Frost? Just put a little notch in the belt there. They got wins. They got themselves off to a good start in their Big 12 2.0 returns to each program. So I like both those guys. I want to see them turn those programs around. Nobody wants to see, a couple of basement dwellers for a long, long time. And if you don't get it right, you could be a basement dweller. But I think Rich Rod is the type of guy that can definitely turn it around. I'm still curious to see what Scott Frost can do the second iteration.
Yeah, UCF needed some late heroics. They had a quarterback change. It was over Jacksonville State, but 17-10 win. West Virginia, they looked high-powered against an FCS team in Robert Morris. But that's your Big 12 headlines to wrap up Week 1 here on First and 12. Alex Kirry, Mitch Harper. Let's take our first break. On the other side, we'll get to some takeaways from Week 1, what we learned from the league. It's First and 12 here on KSL News Radio.
Read all the stories about BYU sports no one else has heard. Go to KSLSports.com for exclusive columns by BYU insider Mitch Harper. That's KSLSports.com.
Welcome back into First and 12 here on KSL News Radio on a Football Tuesday here on KSL. Got Cougar Tracks earlier this evening at 6:30, and then right now over the next 2 hours, First and 12, and then tonight, BYU Football Coaches Show with Kalani Sitake, Mitch Harper, and Alex Kirry with you, getting a league-wide look at the 16-team Big 12. And there was a lot to unpack, Alex, from Week 1. We went through the headlines, but diving deeper into some of these games in particular, what were some of the big takeaways for you from Week 1? And what was a mixed bag for the league as far as results, but what were some of the biggest takeaways?
I think for me personally, I hate all these FCS games.
Yes,
what's
thank you.
What's the number? I mean, they're 69-0 since 2019.
63-0. You're just blinded by that BYU
score got me. No,
Bruce Barnum going, they gave us a 69er. It's like, okay.
Settle down, kid. No, but I think that when you look at that stat, great. You have beaten all the teams you were supposed to beat. And I'll tell you what else happens is we start to just kind of glaze over and we don't really think about you. When you're playing FCS teams at that clip, we do not think about you as a conference. What were the games that were the most important? They were the ones that were the nationally televised, 2 Power 4 teams, and you're not going to get dinged for losses as badly anymore, like they've said in the future. So that's one thing I looked at and I went, great. Utah is going to get a bump. They got the bump. They're in the top 25 already because why? They played against UCLA. Look, it's a bad Big Ten team, I think. I think ultimately UCLA's got some real problems.
But they crushed them.
But they beat the heck out of them. Yeah. And again, it was on national television. It was late, but you know what it was? It was at the Rose Bowl. It was in Pasadena. It was recognizable programs that you've seen play each other before. They used to be part of the same conference. That's the type of matchup you want. And then TCU, what did they get? A signature win in prime time. And they were put prime time because they decided they're going to play this bigger game. That's what you have to do. I can't stand these FCS games, mostly for the sake of, and I get you want to kind of ease into the season. We talked about this last week. Fine, do a legitimate preseason, then get into your real schedule. Then we can start paying attention to these games a little bit more. But you know, I'm super impressed by what. I mean, Utah we know what Utah can do. We're here in this market. We know what they can do. We know what Kyle Whittingham is capable of. And I knew TCU was going to be pretty good, but I didn't think that they were going to come out of the gates that wildly over-dominate against North Carolina, who got all the attention. But they've got a legitimate running back. Josh Hoover is a legitimate quarterback. I mean, when I'm watching last night and I'm going, Kevorian Barnes goes 11 carries, 111 yards. Like, nobody was stopping that guy. They could have handed the ball off 20 times to him. He would have definitely had a 200-yard night. And it didn't even matter. Josh Hoover is playing some really good ball. He still has to clean up a couple of things, but he's going to be the guy that can be in the driver's seat when it comes to being a lead conference dude. And TCU is not a program to mess with. Sonny Dykes wants to get them back to being good. But again, what are we talking about? The games that mattered, the Power 4 opponents, and I want to see more of that going forward. I hope that they start scheduling more of these opponents. I don't think it's going to happen for a little while. It's going to take a minute for them to get used to what this new scheduling is going to look like.
Well said. I think my biggest takeaway was just close, but not far enough in some of these outcomes. You know, Cincinnati and Nebraska, you got to take care of those games. Baylor, Auburn. You can't assume you're going to have these opportunities to host these SEC, these Big Ten teams all the time. You've got to capitalize. And look, I don't think it's fair for the Big 12 that they're always judged on this, metric of, well, you better capitalize or else, you're never going to be good. Whereas the SEC and the Big Ten, they always have this margin for error. Everyone always forgets, 3 years ago, TCU once defeated the Big Ten champ Michigan on its way to get to the national title. The only thing people bring up is, well, they got hammered by Georgia 65-7, so the Big 12 is just a fraud. That's the issue sometimes that this league faces, but those games you do have to capitalize because you want to have – I just think long-term that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to schedule each other more and try to, create the self-narrative that they are just the kings of the sport. And you got to capitalize when you get those chances. And I think there were some missed opportunities there by the league. But I also did come away feeling like this league, the quarterback hype in this conference is real.
It's legit, yeah.
The Big 12 brands itself as the quarterback club this year. Here's the top passing leaders in the Big 12 through week 1. Avery Johnson, Rocco Beck, they got the benefit of 2 games. Same with Jalen Daniels, who's third. But Sawyer Robertson, Josh Hoover, Taven Jackson at UCF, he's maybe the outlier. But Sam Levitt, Nico Martial, Devon Dampier, Baron Morin, that's some good signal callers. And I didn't even mention Noah Fafita, Caden Salter, Bear Bachmeier. So this league is deep at the quarterback position. When we launched this show 2 years ago, I think both you and I were kind of underwhelmed when Will Howard was first-team quarterback in the league, which sounds crazy now because he became a national champion. But we're like, there's not many good signal callers in this league. 2 years later, it's a deep league with great quarterbacks.
Not only that, think about guys like Devon Dampier, who you had some people singing his praises and you had other people totally forgetting about him. And I think he already put himself in that conversation for maybe being the guy. I mean, Utah's already going to be up there in the conversation of being one of the best in the league. They're already back in the AP top 25. And they could stay there for a long, long time. The good news for fans of the Big 12 and fans of that BYU-Utah rivalry, BYU is favored in the next 4 games or 5. I can't.
Good point.
4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
And then Utah, of course, is going to be favored in all the rest of theirs. Probably, maybe Texas Tech. I doubt it, though. It's going to be at Rice-Eccles Stadium. So they're going to be favored in all of them. Imagine if both of those teams fire off a bunch of wins in a row and they face off each other 6-0.
Brett Yormark's then going to say, I told y'all, I was a genius. That's why we're scheduling it October 18th.
Oh, come on. No, but nobody wants to see it October 18th. I mean, but it would be nice to have those two teams with little single-digit numbers next to their names, because you're going to see everything kind of normalize a little bit. And by week 6, we'll actually know what the reality is of a lot of these rankings that come out. And it's way too early. It's too early to know. But we've already known that guys like Josh Hoover were going to be good. You knew Rocco Becht was going to come back and probably bring back that same exact kind of flair that he brings to Iowa State. Baron Morton, great. Sawyer Robertson, in a loss, had one of the best performances of any of the quarterbacks this week. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that. By the way, they're going to be an explosive offense, and so they need to figure out how to get stops. But the quarterback play, you're exactly right. Phenomenal right now in the league. And Devon Dampier, to me, with what he did through the air, the efficiency, and if he starts to really – if he's not going to throw those picks like he did last year, which you know they've worked on in the offseason, he could end up being, at the very end of this, the best quarterback in the entire Big 12 this season.
Yeah, I mean, he's top 10 in the league, too, in rushing yards through week 1. That's the dual threat ability, and it's almost a futuristic offense. Like, Utah's got an offense. That's what's crazy about Utah, crushing UCLA 43-10, and then to do it the two-way guys, too, Smith, Snowden, Barton. It was an impressive performance by Utah. I think just another takeaway, too, is one of the teams that we thought highly of in the league, K-State. I'm kind of fading them a little bit. Maybe it's that Ireland struggles, that loss. Maybe that truly is a thing for the team that does lose in Ireland. They looked underwhelming. We'll get more on K-State in our power rankings a little bit later in the show. But that's our takeaways from week 1 here on First and 12. Alex Kirry, Mitch Harper. Coming up next, we'll get a Big 12 Sound Roundup. We'll hear from Kyle Whittingham, Kalani Sitake, Coach Prime, Joey McGuire, Kenny Dillingham, and more. It's First and 12 here on KSL News Radio.
The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Subscribe to the First and 12 podcast. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio.
Welcome on in on a Tuesday evening. Thanks for being with us. It is First and 12. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry. I'm Alex. He's Mitch. And we've done a lot of radio shows over the years together, Mitch. And this is one of our favorites. Be able to get together and get you kind of up to speed, not just on the local teams here in the Big 12, but the Big 12 overall as a conference. Getting you ready for what is in the week to come, what we saw in the first official week of everybody getting some plays in. And, of course, we had actual highlights to watch. We have actual numbers to break down. That has changed our life, man. Yes. I'm telling you, like the desert that we end up going through, we convince ourselves this is okay. We're talking about college football. This is okay. This is okay. When the actual games hit, then I go, oh, my goodness, thank heavens. We have so much to break down and so much to get to still. Our signature sound roundup every week as we bring you some of the best sound from across the Big 12 Conference. Let's jump in right here.
Big 12 Sound Roundup.
Check 1, 2.
The best bites, cheap shots, and excuses from Saturday's post-game news conferences.
So much to dive into in the Big 12 Sound Roundup, and we've been enjoying this new spot on Tuesday nights because we get so much more sound to give to you here on the Sound Roundup, including Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham, fresh off that win over UCLA, 43-10 in the Rose Bowl. And the question is, how much more usage is Utah going to have going forward on offense with Smith Snowden, a star nickelback, and Lander Barton? They had a huge impact on offense. This was what?
Well, we plan on using them each and every week. How much is exactly as you mentioned, what the matchup was and what personnel groups they're in. Coach Beck typically goes into a game with 4, 5, or 6 personnel groups, and just depending on how much they're, how many of those groups they're involved in. But I thought it was really good production from those guys. Smith, 5 catches for 50 or 60 yards, and some carries as well. Lander caught the touchdown pass and actually blocked really well too. Lander, I'm convinced, could be one of the best tight ends in the country that was his full-time position. So he's a big plus. And then Benny did exactly what we hoped. He didn't have a lot of production on paper, but he did a great job of taking the top off the coverage and stretching the defense and opening some things up for other guys.
What's Witt saying there? It's not going to be a gimmick. This is going to be part of their offensive identity, which is they're going to confuse you. They're going to switch it up. They could have weeks where they just don't do a thing with them, and then the very next week they come right back, and those guys are catching passes and running touchdowns in. They both scored. Lander, I think, did the Caleb Lohner thing, which was like, just throw me one ball a game, but it needs to be a touchdown. It's my contract. I'm sorry. That's the only time I'll touch the ball. But Smith Snowden, that guy touches the ball, and you go, oh, yeah, this is one of the best athletes on the field, if not the most electric athlete on the field. So think what they're doing nowadays. This is a wild thing for Witt, who usually would just be like, don't touch my defense. And now he's like, hey, if we can use all these guys, I thank all the people who have gone before them who played two ways, but and you know what? Maybe it's an early tip to go, hey, Weddle's kid coming from California, we want you to play two ways, and we'll let you score just like Dad did. And look what we're doing now. We're not opposed to it. We'll have everybody score, and we'll have a two-way Heisman that's coming out of Utah. I think it's great that he's embracing it, and I thought I wasn't shocked that he said it, but I was a little bit surprised that he said, oh, no, this isn't just like a week one, we're going to kind of surprise you. It was this is what we're doing going forward. So,
and that's a good point, because at Big 12 Media Day when he was talking about it, I thought, is he just trying to throw some, smoke screens and try to confuse everyone to get opponents thinking? But it does seem like Smith Snowden and Barton having a role on the offense is here to stay for the Utes. Iowa State and the Big 12 at large, they've got some great kickers in this league. One of the best ones is Kyle Conradi. He had a 63-yard boot in their win over South Dakota. He was talking with the media after the game, and he described the exchange between him and Coach Campbell in the decision to go for that 63-yard field goal.
He basically just said, do you want to kick it? And I'm like, of course. And he's just like, F it, let's kick it. Yeah.
He said that?
F it, or was it something different?
What's that?
Was it F it, or was it something different?
I don't know if I should say it.
What a kick, though. 63 yards. I mean, that used to be the staple in the NFL. Jason Elam, 63-yard for a record. Like that was just kind of a casual boo. You got Will Ferrin at BYU kicking 56-yarders. Great kickers in this league.
Way too many press conferences featuring kickers for my liking. But you know what that means? Those guys are making kicks. I mean, if you think Will Ferrin's not going to hit a 60-yarder this year, you're nuts. That 56-yarder cleared those goalposts by 7-8 yards.
Yeah.
So this is what these guys work on now. The standard in the NFL is you can't miss, and now the standard is you can't miss from like between 50 and 55 now. Like that's not a thing. You can't do that. It used to be like over 50 was like, yeah, that's probably about a 50% clip. If you're not 3/4 of the time making those 50 pluses, or maybe even more, you're not going to be in the league. These guys want to get to the league, so it's pretty amazing to see how good these kickers are doing. And yes, we are talking about kickers. I guess this is way more than I want to, but here we are. Next up on the Sound Roundup, Kalani Sitake talking about the biggest takeaway for them, taking on Portland State, and obviously it was cool for them to be in that spot because they absolutely blew up this stadium. Most people in the stadium since 2009 when TCU came into town. Here's what he said.
Biggest highlight for me as a head coach and for our program was the fans. We keep talking about it. I keep hearing the players talk about it in the locker room after the game, and even today you can hear the buzz going around about how amazing our fans were. So, I mean, school's not even in session yet, and the Rock was amazing, and so seeing the student section and all the fans and everybody supported, and they were loud too. So that was really impressive, man, to have that type of atmosphere. And since 2009, I was told, so that's super special. So just want to let the fans know how much we love and appreciate them. And man, they have been big time since I remember being part of the fan base when I was a little boy. So it's nice to see them out doing their things and making noise for us.
The Rock glaze is real for Kalani, but it is noteworthy, the crowd element, because in the Big 12 with revenue and everything, like you're trying to find ways to generate revenue streams, and the Big 12 prides itself on its capacity crowds, and BYU, having the biggest stadium in the league, had a big turnout for an FCS team. Curious to see what those crowds look like going forward. For Colorado, they always have a rockin' atmosphere since Coach Prime got there. He described how he felt after his first game that lost to Georgia Tech, after an offseason where he survived bladder cancer.
Feel
virtually
good.
this summer?
Feel good. I don't feel good right now, but I felt darn good during the game. I think we were playing a heck of a game, and we could have played a little better, but I felt darn good. Staff was doing a great job. I mean, you're 2 or 3 big plays. I mean, a first down, deep ball, we right there. We don't need pass interference. Another deep ball, we right there. We don't need the nonsense, and we allowed it to happen. And those are huge plays. Like, those plays come back to haunt you. But we're going to get that corrected, and we're going to fix it.
I hope they do. I thought that Georgia Tech game, they came out with a lot of energy on defense, which is something we hadn't seen in Colorado. And they were physical, which is, again, something that they weren't really known for. But Georgia Tech coming out, I think Georgia Tech's a really good team too. I think they cracked the top 25 today as well. So I think that there are a lot of teams that you're looking at and you go, okay, there's some things they need to fix. I don't think they're going to have the fall off like maybe I had said. Anyway, the bottom line is I think they're going to be just fine. Yeah. We'll see how it turns out there. But how about Joey McGuire, Texas Tech's head coach, talking a little bit about the Behren Morton situation. He's got some muscle soreness, and hopefully that can get right. That can get right because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
If y'all saw it and rewatched it, it was ugly. I think the thing that was the saving grace was his ankle turned, and so that kept all the pressure from totally going, from leg to all the way up his knee. But he's really sore. But the X-rays and MRI, they've come back negative, so it's a more muscle soreness. He got hit right outside, so all the muscle, calf, and the shin area. So it's really not where his shin is sore. It's just all the muscles around it. We'll play it day by day from the standpoint of, we'll get him going tomorrow. He's already been in multiple times today. He's been in the pool running. We'll see what he looks like tomorrow. Probably gearing back a little bit if he doesn't feel 100%, maybe get some 7-on-7 and stuff like that, and then just play it day by day of what we're going to do with him on Saturday. If he feels great and is ready to go, then we plan on playing him. Because the one thing I don't want to do, I think we all saw, one, we've got a good quarterback room, but two, he's really on point right now. He and Mac are as aligned as a quarterback and a coordinator can be, and so we don't want to disrupt that because we're going to play Saturday and the next Saturday, and we saw Utah as a really good football team against UCLA. We want to make sure our quarterback's in rhythm. We want to make sure he's healthy, but we also want to make sure he's in rhythm.
Interesting that Joey McGuire kind of indirectly admits they're looking ahead a couple weeks because this non-conference is light for Tech. Yeah. They got to have Behren Morton healthy.
Well, and this is the benefit of playing teams that are a little bit lighter is everybody looking at this and going, okay, how is this going to shape up? Look, everybody at Texas Tech.
Kent State this week, by the way. Yeah, they're going to roll.
Is that Maction? Is that considered Maction? Yeah. All right, so yeah, they'll go light, and the reality is you do need to get right because that Texas Tech Utah battle that's going to happen at Rice Eccles Stadium, that could be a preview of what we could see in Arlington. Very well see that. Yes. And if Utah's smelling blood in the water with Behren Morton struggling a little bit, this is going to be an environment that Texas Tech, they'll think that they're used to. Like, we played at Texas, we played at Oklahoma. Rice Eccles is different at night, man. I'm telling you. And so it'll be a shock to them because it's just a place they're not familiar with, and Kyle Whittingham will have his guys dialed up, on the flip side.
Let's get to a break. On the other side, we'll get to our 1st and 12 games of the week here in the Big 12 Conference. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry with you, 1st and 12 on KSL News Radio.
Read all the stories about BYU sports no one else has heard. Go to KSLSports.com for exclusive columns by BYU insider Mitch Harper. That's KSLSports.com.
Welcome back. It is another edition of 1st and 12 right here on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM. Thanks for being with us. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry, we're taking you all the way through our Big 12 as we have seen it from this past first full week of scheduled games, and now looking ahead to what we could pick as our games of the week going into the conference. And the games start to get a little bit more important as you go along here. It's easy for you to see some of the ranked numbers next to some of these teams and go, that's a big game. It's not just that. It's who you're playing. It's the opponents. It's the national, what everybody's going to be able to see on TV. And I would say right out of the gate that my game of the week would be Baylor and SMU, going to SMU. Problem is it's on the CW. So I don't know if I don't know if I want to get all over that one yet. So I think the one that I'm going to go for my game of the week for this conference, I'm looking at that Iowa State game. Now, this is one that they have every year. This is one that they're going to keep as a traditional rivalry. Iowa goes to Iowa State. Matt Campbell and his guys are ranked 16th right now, so you got to hold serve. You know what I mean? You got to show everybody else. And Iowa is that very, very respected Big Ten team. They're not the best. They're not phenomenal. But Kirk Ferentz, say what you will about him, but the guy wins, and he's good for 8.5 wins every year. You know what I mean? Yes. Iowa State, anything that they do now, because they're 2-0 now. They had their first double-digit win season as a team last year. They can't have any real slip-ups along the way. I'm not saying they have to be perfect, but what I'm saying is the more that they can stay in the national conversation, you're already battling against the fact that you're Iowa State. People don't think of the Cyclones first, right? So I think that you need to have that a big game. And it's big for the conference, I think, too, because Iowa goes to Iowa State. Iowa State could really put it on them. And if that happens, then you've got yourself game on across the conferences. Anytime you can get a win against a Big Ten team. It's not just Power 4. Big Ten and SEC wins go for a lot more, too. Am I wrong?
I agree. And I'm kind of in the same wavelength as you, Alex, with an old-school rivalry that's Big 12 versus an SEC or Big Ten brand. This one, in the case of the border war, border showdown is what it's called now, Kansas and Missouri. First time these two rivals that used to be in the Big 12 together.
War's offensive now?
It's now border showdown,
so
no longer border war.
So if it becomes the holy showdown for BYU and Utah, I'm going to lose it. The holy showdown.
That just sounds terrible.
It sounds
awful.
The
holy showdown sounds awful. But Kansas and Missouri, first time they're playing since 2011. Missouri, remember that was that year in 2007 when Kansas and Mizzou were 1-2, like right there in Arrowhead. That was a crazy game. But Missouri's won the last 3 in this series. This is an interesting game just because Kansas has looked so good. And I think this is a barometer for their last non-conference game before they jump into league play. How seriously do we take Kansas? Going into this season, all full disclosure, I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. They've knocked out Fresno and Wagner with flying colors and have looked brilliant. Jalen Daniels looks like one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's up to almost 500 yards through the air this season. I think that's just kind of a barometer game for the Jayhawks to see how good they are. And Mizzou's dealing with some injuries at the quarterback position with Sam Horn expected to be out for a period of time. So seems like a good spot for Kansas to maybe get a rivalry win. Motions are going to be high in this one, I would imagine. But Kansas, barometer game, that's the game of the week for me in this league.
What do they call it? The border conflict? The border, like, let's get along nicely? What we
border showdown?
Just terrible. So Kansas, look, they can turn a corner here. Kansas cried wolf, and maybe we did too, kind of getting ready for Jalen Daniels over the last couple of years, and we just have lulled ourselves kind of to forget about those guys. And Jalen Daniels, I know that they haven't had phenomenal, matchups yet so far this year, but they're not just beating their opponents; they look really confident, and I think that's the thing. Lance Leipold is waiting to turn this corner, and he might get there with this group of players, and I think that Kansas can make that statement win again. The SEC wins absolutely mean more, just like the Big Ten teams and the Big Ten wins also absolutely mean something for this conference. We will take a break here. We will come back our second hour. Oh, it's our power rankings. Let's get it back going.
Do it.
We'll show you what happened last week, and then we'll tell you how things shifted around for our power rankings, our weekly dive into how we see the rest of the conference top to bottom. Mitch, Harper, Alex, Kirry, it is 1st and 12 right here, 97.5. No, it's on 102.7 FM and 1160 AM right here on KSL News Radio. Stay with us.